guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have six true horror stories animated. This is a 12-minute video. Please grab some snacks and yeah, let's get right into it.
This is a real story from a friend of mine. It didn't happen to me, and I wasn't present when it occurred. For privacy reasons, I'll refer to my friend as Yancey. Yancey had an uncle who was very friendly and talkative. One night, Yancey, her uncle, and her aunt were hanging out together. It was around 12:30 a.m., and they were standing beside the road, just talking. Suddenly, without any warning, her uncle ran across the road in a frightened, panicked rush. He reached the other side, bent down, and picked up something, or at least that's what it looked like. His arms were open, positioned as if he were holding a person, but there was nothing there. Yancey and her aunt were completely confused. Everything happened so fast that they didn't even have time to process what was going on. Then her uncle sprinted back toward them, still holding his arms as if someone was in them. That's when a car hit him. He was rushed to the hospital and fell into a coma that lasted.
That's crazy, man. Watching your uncle just
when he finally woke up, he told his family what he believed had happened that night. He said he saw an old woman who used to sell jujubes sitting across the road. He recognized her immediately and ran to save her because he thought she was about to be hit by a car. Years earlier, there had been an elderly vendor woman who regularly came to their house to sell jujubes. She was especially close to Yancey's uncle and treated him like her own son. He had always been kind to her.
Maybe it was a ghost or something. She has passed away.
The woman passed away after being hit by a vehicle. That night, Yancey's uncle believed he saw her sitting across the road. Unfortunately, after the accident, he was never the same again. He lost his mental stability. His personality changed completely.
It looked like he already lost it.
The ghost of that woman. Maybe she wanted to take him with her, but why would she return after so many years? I guess we'll never know. Hi, I'm a huge fan of your YouTube videos, and I wanted to tell you a story my friend experienced, so I hope you get the chance to see this. Anyway, this happened when he was 13. He was working with his uncle at a water park in El Salvador for some extra money. He had been working there for a few weeks already.
Looks like a fun job, man, working at a water
park. While they were cleaning, his uncle realized that he had forgotten his tools in the bathroom and was about to go get them when my friend asked if he could go instead, because he had never really explored the water park like that. His uncle said yes, but then started to say,
"If you see someone, don't run."
My friend thought his uncle was just joking.
That's shady, bro.
Laugh it off, but his uncle looked serious.
Yeah, look at him.
That kind of freaked him out, but he brushed it off since they joked around a lot. While he was on his way to the bathroom, he mentioned that it was pretty far, but he kept walking. About halfway there,
nah, bro, that's your sign to
slam.
Get out, grab your uncle and
because it was a metal door.
Tell him to get in.
That completely freaked him out. After pausing for a moment, he saw a woman dressed entirely in white. She looked wet, almost transparent. He stood there for a second, terrified, and then started running back.
Yeah, good. He can survive horror movies,
He could hear
man.
wet footsteps slamming against the pavement, getting faster and faster behind him. He later said he was glad he was active and played soccer because he was able to run really fast.
Yeah.
When he finally reached his uncle, he started tearing up and explaining how he saw a woman dressed in white chasing him. That's when his uncle said,
"I'm sorry I didn't tell you about this before.
Well, you should have told him earlier, man.
It's haunted. The woman you saw was a ghost. Her children drowned here, and the pain completely broke her. She ended her life in that bathroom.
Bro,
so she could be with them
goddamn.
forever."
And you didn't do any purifying ritual on that place too?
Say or do. He just stood there in silence. Because of that incident, he had to go to therapy, and even now, he's still afraid when he thinks about it.
That's
I
crazy,
have
man.
before because I am a big fan
Hey,
of the
look,
story.
it's Wansi Entertainment, the logo. Look at that.
My story about a weird man
Poster on the
I used to see
wall?
at my grandmother's house, but back then I didn't share many details because I was scared. But today, I'd like to share the whole story with you. I'm 16 right now, but this story happened when I was about 7. I used to go to my grandmother's house a lot because she had 4 cats, and I loved to play with them. Almost every time I went to her house, there would be an older-looking man with long, white hair, glasses, and a brown cane.
Looks like a zombie or a vampire, man.
He needed the cane because he had a limp in his left leg. My grandmother always used to talk with him over a cup of tea, but I was always scared of him. There wasn't anything particularly scary about him.
Look at his
but I
nails.
disliked
man.
him for reasons I couldn't explain. He would never speak to me. He would just look at me in a strange way. After a few years, I stopped seeing him, but it didn't bother me. Only about 2 years ago, I asked my grandmother about him, and she said that she didn't know who I was talking about.
What?
I tried explaining to her how the man looked to jog her memory, but she still insisted that she didn't know him.
What?
I realized trying to remind her about him was pointless, so I asked my other family members about him, and they also had no idea who I was talking about. Finally, the last person I asked was my younger sister, who was 13 at the time. I asked her if she remembered him, and to my surprise, she actually did.
Good.
But she remembered him a little differently. She told me she remembered him having a limp in his right leg, and that his cane wasn't made out of wood with designs on it. She said it was metallic, and she told me about one detail that I had tried to forget as a child. The man's eyes were always wide open, and they had a reddish color to them. I still sometimes get nightmares about him, even though I don't even know
Bro.
who he was.
What the hell?
This story happened about a year ago.
Oh, a year
I
ago,
still
okay.
remember all the details. Details I wish I could forget. In the summer, my sisters and I had a habit of going out for late-night walks.
That's good.
Walking at night in our neighborhood felt calming, and we also walked because we couldn't stand the unbearable heat in our apartment since we didn't have an air conditioner. One
Oh,
day,
man,
my
that's-
2 older sisters decided to walk
You'd
without
have an
me,
air conditioner,
thinking
bro.
I wouldn't go. So I decided to go out and search
If it gets
for
that
them
hot
so
there.
we could all walk together. The neighborhood that night was very calm, almost too calm.
Yeah, it seems like a
There
calm
was
neighborhood. You know,
cold
they are
mist, and the
completely
wind
okay to
whistled
walk out at
softly.
night.
When I realized it was a bit too far from my neighborhood, I decided to go home, thinking my sisters had gone back earlier that night. On my way home, however, I noticed a silhouette of a guy running toward me.
Looks
from
like a
not too
shadow
far
person, right?
away.
Look at that.
At first, he seemed like he was jogging, but my instincts told me to run as
Yeah,
fast
look
as
at
I
his
could.
face.
As I started running, the guy was already behind me, moving at a terrifying speed. I started to panic. Fortunately, I was close to my home. I didn't want to go there because that would have been a dangerous move, but I had no choice. The moment I reached the apartment, I felt a sense of relief. The guy, however, was right behind me, exhausted and breathing heavily. I rang my family's apartment bell and pretended to be on the phone. Eventually, I got
Yo.
inside and didn't say a word to my mom.
That
or
must be
my sisters
traumatic, you
because
know?
I was too scared. Ever since then, the thought of meeting that guy again has never left my mind. I became paranoid, and obviously, I stopped going out at night with my sisters. I was even worried for them, afraid they might encounter the same experience I lived through, but
Bro, look
with
at
a
that.
worse outcome.
Yeah, that's...
This story happened to my uncle when he was 25, and it's still happening to him to this day.
What?
He lived
It's
at
still
my
happening?
grandmother's house. At some point, he began to feel that some kind of spiritual presence was following him. Wherever he went, especially when he was alone at home, it always felt like it was there. He didn't think it was an evil spirit, but strange things kept happening around him, almost like something out of a poltergeist story. When he took a shower, he would suddenly
Something
hear
might be
the toilet
attached to him,
flush
bro.
itself. Sometimes there were knocking sounds on the mirror, or
Yeah,
shampoo
that-
would come out on its own. When he was eating, his spoon would slip out of his hand for no reason. Cups
It's like
filled
the
with
ghosts are
water
playing
would
some
suddenly
tricks on him,
fall
right?
over.
Like playing with him?
Sometimes even the taste of his food would completely change. He would
Ah,
make
that's
spicy
creepy.
food, but it tasted sweet instead.
What? That's
When he
creepy,
tried
man.
to study, loud noises would suddenly blast from his speakers, scaring and distracting him. Even while watching TV, strange things would happen, as if something was deliberately trying to bother him.
Yeah.
This happened almost every day, but despite all of that, he never thought he would actually see it. Then, one night, something unexpected happened. Around 2 a.m., my uncle fell asleep. Not long after, he heard strange noises coming from outside his room. Curious, he slowly looked through the slightly open door. That's when he saw it. Standing in the hallway was a figure wearing white clothes with long black
It's always
hair
a woman with
flowing
white
as if
clothes,
it were
right?
being blown by the wind. It looked like a woman. The sight was terrifying. He realized that the figure was staring directly at him.
Look at
Instead
this.
of running away, my uncle stared back without blinking. They looked at each other for several minutes. Then, suddenly, the figure vanished into thin air. To this day, my uncle says he can't forget that moment.
Bro, how did he
still
sleep
wonders
that
who
night, man?
or
That's what I'm
that spirit
thinking.
was and why it chose to follow him.
No idea, bro. True
Hey,
mom
for
horror
privacy
story.
reasons, let's call me Aurora, and this is my story. I was 15 at the time this incident happened.
These are getting
Give you a
good, man.
brief
This
background
animation
about
videos.
myself. I lived with my parents and grandparents and was a high school student at the time.
Okay.
It was a Friday night, and as an enthusiastic adolescent, I begged my mom to let me stay up late since I didn't have school the next day. She agreed and said I could stay up until 2 a.m., no later than that.
2 a.m.
I was
Wow.
very happy
That's-
because I had a solo movie night planned. I went to the
Okay.
kitchen, prepared popcorn, reheated some pizza, returned to the living
Oh,
room
well, she's
couch,
watching this
and put on the
crazy,
latest horror
creepy
at the
movie,
time.
horror movie
I have
at
always
night.
been a horror fan and was never scared of things like that. The movie ended around 1 a.m., and since I still had time before bed, I started watching some YouTube videos. After
Okay.
a while, I heard some rustling sounds coming from the kitchen. Thinking it must be my mom, probably
Yeah.
getting water, I didn't think much of it. Before I continue, let me give you a bit of detail about my house. My living room area was right after the main door, and the kitchen was right behind the sofa. It was a closed kitchen with a door-like
Okay.
entrance. Suddenly, I heard a faint voice calling my name. Thinking it was my mom calling for me, I turned around and noticed that the kitchen lights were off, which was odd considering my mom is very scared of darkness and things like that.
Yeah.
Before I could think any further,
Look at that.
I saw my mom's hand protruding from the entrance of the kitchen, gesturing for me to
It's
come
some
to
evil spirit trying to
It was
lure
more
her
like
out,
a
man.
faint shadow, but I could tell it was my mother because of the rings on her fingers. She loves
Like mimicking her mother, right?
Without thinking
Something.
much, I set my laptop aside and stood up to go to her. As I reached the kitchen, I turned on the light, and to my utter shock, I saw the kitchen was empty. There was no one there.
Nah,
Then
bro.
who gestured for me to come over, and who was calling my name? While I was still in shock, I suddenly heard a loud noise. It was my mom yelling my name from her room. I turned and saw her standing in the bedroom doorway, telling me that it was already 2 a.m. and that I needed to go to bed.
Her mom
Not
was
wanting
up
to scare her, I didn't
till
say
2 a.m.?
anything and went to bed. The next morning, I told her everything, and she was shocked as well. Trying not to scare me further, she brushed the topic off, but I could clearly see the unease.
Yeah,
on her
she's
face.
also shocked, man.
6 months later, we moved to a new apartment complex. I'm 22 now, and to this day, what happened that night remains a mystery.
Bro, that's crazy. These were 6 good, horror stories animated, man. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think of this video. All right? I'll see you in the next one, guys.